tournament has enough at stake. Ivy moves in for more than the size of the pot. And the stars align. A featured table at the World Series of Poker main event can look like tonight's. Phil Ivey.
When I first started playing poker, I always dreamed of winning a bracelet. And now that I have a chance to be the all-time bracelet winner, it's something I'm going to go after.
Max Steinberg, Michael Mizrachi, and that's just the beginning. With a brat on the loose.
I'm going to play so much better than you guys.
A defending champion trying to repeat.
Try to do that again.
And a legend defying the odds. The 2013 World Series of Poker main event is already memorable, and it's only day 3.
This is the World Series of Poker on ESPN. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
I had a dream so big and loud. I jumped so high, I touched the clouds. Whoa,
Texas Dolly Brunson, who wrote the book.
this is gonna be the best day.
Moving in for the kill.
And there it is. Helmuth wins the championship.
Moneymaker puts his name amongst the greatest players in the game.
Wake me now.
Greg Merson is the main event champion.
Gonna be the best day of my life.
Biggest day of my life.
Main event, day 3.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Rio for the 2013 World Series of Poker. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman, Chad, and Kara Scott. The Amazon room still full of competitors trying to claim bracelet glory. Among them, someone who already has 9, Phil Ivey.
If he wins it all, I'll take credit. If he doesn't, the blame's all on him. That's the way it works.
Mark Kroon was chip leader to start the day, but is falling fast.
He had a blow-up in one hand, bluffing off more than half his chips.
Mark's buddy Phil Hellmuth struggling to keep his head above water.
The brat still can smile, but if those chips go, he'll be in the valley of unhappiness.
Laura Green celebrated her marriage with a main event entry.
She and husband Scott Bourne honeymooning at their first main event. Whatever happened in Niagara Falls?
Defending champ Greg Merson has a slightly below average stack.
Hey, last year he was down to 3 big blinds and won it all. No problem.
Everyone now looking up at German Somar Al-Darwich, the beneficiary of Mark Kroon's meltdown. The biggest name of the top 10, the grinder Michael Mizrachi.
2-time winner of the Poker Players Championship, 5th at the 2010 main event. The man knows his way around big events. He also knows his way around feature tables, and he's going to join this one.
I think it's time to break the table.
A lot of players might think, uh-oh, here comes a big stack, but Ivey's thinking, hey, they brought the bank here to me.
Tough pass.
How much you got, Genius?
Huh?
How much you got?
Close to 6. 570. I don't know.
I hope my man doesn't have chip envy.
This is the definition of a feature table, 5 stacks above average, none bigger than Mizrachi's.
The grinder is go big or go home. So far, it's been go big.
Max Steinberg finished 2nd at the national championship.
Sure, Grinder and Ivy at this table, but I like Max's position. I just hope he stays away from jack-high hero calls.
Man, you got a fan in here? Shit, it's hot.
Imagine how we feel.
Huh? Man, you been all day?
Yeah.
Let's cool down a little bit.
Has it?
A little bit. Well, it cools down when you get more chips, but when you lose chips, it gets hotter.
Blinds at 12 and 2,400, a 400 chip ante. James Hudson from Canada, ace-jack of hearts.
Hudson graduated from Concordia University in Montreal. I believe they are the Horned Frogs.
Raised to 5,500. Grinder with ace-queen.
How much you playing?
300-ish.
Yeah, I could use another 300. Grinder's thinking.
And with the ace-queen, a re-raise to 11,600 to amateur Ola Ogilola. He looks down at king-queen suited.
King-queen looks so pretty to Ola, like a friend request from an old girlfriend.
Ola is a software engineer at Facebook in Palo Alto, California.
6,352 players started this main event, most of them in T-shirts.
Folded over to the big blind. Phil Ivey with 2 red 10s for the 37-year-old.
In 2012, Ivey had a fabulous World Series. In 2013, it's been slim pickings.
How much you playing, Phil?
280 or so.
Ivey up almost 100K here on day 3 so far. Calls for an additional 9,200. Back to James Hudson, the original raiser.
Yeah, I call.
And he comes along.
Hudson will join 2 icons of the game to the flop.
Ivey, Mizrachi, and James Hudson. The flop for Jack 10. All 3 find something. Ivey with middle set. Hudson with top pair, top kicker. Broadway draw for Mizrachi. 25,000 from Ivy. Now Hudson. Third best percentage-wise, drawing Twiggy thin.
Well, he takes a glance at both of his opponents. He's going to take another glance at them. They are who you think they are.
And why am I stuck in the middle? He gives it up.
I don't know how he knew to do that, but that was a nice fold by Hudson.
Hudson giving up top pair, top kicker. Now Mizrachi with the Broadway draw calls.
Yeah, Grinder says, what the heck, you only live once, and I love gambling.
Turn card, 7 of spades.
The two kings, with their hearts bent on evil, will sit at the same table and lie to each other, but to no avail because an end will still come at the appointed time.
Wow, a Bible verse from you, Daniel 11:27.
Precisely.
70,000 from Ivy with his set.
I think Grinder's end may come sooner than later.
He does fold.
Set of jacks.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Hudson got out of dodge just in time.
And Ivy reminding the Grinder, this isn't South Florida. This is my town.
Here's some quick trivia for you. Remember any of these guys? Michael Hack, Gerardo Lubis, David D'Alessandro? Well, they all had big chip stacks last year and all finished outside the top 50. Sure, it's nice to be among the early leaders, but it's not just about how you start the game, right, Norman?
Indeed. Players who are great at building stacks are also great at losing them. Take the grinder, Michael Mizrachi. When's the last time he actually grinded? He has one gear, turbo. He plays the main event like he's going to knock out the entire field on any given hand. But day 3 chip leaders, be forewarned. Live by the big pot, bust by the big pot.
That's the Grinder way, and over 14 million in live earnings says, yeah, it works for me. To our secondary table and Phil Hellmuth.
That would have been nice if you just decided to raise 30,000.
Catching Phil mid-rant. Action on Erkut Yilmaz with pocket jacks. Originally from Turkey, lives in Sacramento, raised to 5,100.
Yilmaz finished 231st at the main event last year.
On the button is Hellmuth with queen tray of spades.
16.
Hellmuth's last cash at the main event was in 2009.
And Phil with a re-raise from the button to 16,000.
This is a rare gear from Hellmuth. We saw some of it at World Series Europe when he won the main event bracelet there last year.
Now the 36-year-old Yilmaz with 2 blackjacks.
Born in Turkey, back at the time he was playing poker there, it was pretty much just 5-card draw.
A 4-bet from Yilmaz, and that gets Phil's attention.
Yeah, Phil yanks out the earbud, adjusts the cap, and reconsiders the long-term viability of queen tray suited.
You're my guy, man. Wow, I think you're bluffing. I don't know why, but you want to try to bluff the best players in the world, huh?
Phil folds.
Show it. Show the 9.
You show or show?
No.
Now, what did I say?
I showed you 8 hands, right?
I'm not bluffing. I got a picture pocket pair. Believe it or not.
Well, Hellmuth tried, but Yilmaz shot back, and he picks up the pot.
You tried to bluff me, not me.
I think I'm going to beat you for 101 pot. Because you have no fear, you know. You have 2 jacks, so you give me the 100.
Well, if Phil beats him for 101 pot, Phil needs to make sure he starts the hand with over 100.
At an outer table, newlywed Laura Green looks to be getting her affairs in order. All in with ace-jack of spades. 2010 World Series Europe. Main event winner James Board trying to knock her out with pocket 9s.
Can I use my one time?
I believe she used her one time on her wedding ring.
Can I use my one time?
Nothing much there for Green.
You know, I think asking for one time more than one time might cancel out the one time.
4 of clubs. The flush is gone. 1 card to come.
Come on, give the newlywed bride an ace or a jack.
The river card is another deuce, and Board wins with a better 2-pair.
Sorry.
The Brits have no heart. First a war of 1812, now this.
It was wonderful playing with you.
Good luck. Yeah.
Sorry.
We lose the better half of the honeymoon couple.
Laura had little choice with a dwindling chip stack. Not the storybook honeymoon she had imagined, but what a story to tell the grandkids one day. The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by Caesars Casino on Facebook. What happens in Vegas now can go anywhere. It's a dream scenario for those remaining, but someone will win that bracelet. Inside the Rio, we check in on Doyle Brunson, up to almost $440,000.
He last cashed at the main event in 2004. Wouldn't this be nice?
Laura Green's husband, Scott Bourne's still in it.
She's on her way over there to whine about her last hand. Get used to it, buddy.
Oliver Gill up over $300,000, which is about how many words he spoke when we mic'd him up back on day 2.
I'm Capital. He's my co-Capital. This man is a crusher. He's in the run-hot corner. This is Nemesis over here. He's like a stone-cold killer. You don't want to play with him. He's from Sweden and he's really aggro. I'm from Queensland as well, see? Repping the state of Queensland in Australia. See that, guys? It's Capital's button. You know what that means, right? I open, you 3-bet, I flat, I outplay you post-flop, the usual. This is why I'm the most hated poker player in Australia. All right, let's do something else. Let's make a spaceship. To defeat Capital, you have to get to the heart of the spaceship and strike him down with a single blow. So now this is the main body, this is the bridge. I'm getting a hand though. I have to play a hand. How inconvenient is that? What are you doing? Why are you playing with Capital? You know how often I flop amazing things. It's such a bad idea. Pew, pew, pew. Look at me checking over here like a weak fish. Look how sad he is now, and he's even one of the best players in Ireland. See, look at that. Bye-bye. That was easy. Capital can be mean sometimes. Oh, he's shipping it in my face. You can't do that to Capital, so it's been a good day. Capital is done. He's won his chips. Capital is satisfied. Can you guys believe that was only one level? I should have folded. I'm such a fish. Capital does not shut up. I had a Russian guy yell at me earlier in the series. It was pretty cool.
Lon, from here on, for the rest of this hour, you will be Capital and I will be co-Capital.
Done. Gil flop top pair against Tommy Chen's 2 aces.
I can't bet a rainbow, though. I don't have any blue chips.
He calls for 6,600.
Aces might quiet down Capital.
Capital, a nickname given to him by a Brazilian poker pro. A flush draw now for Chen.
At the 2012 10K Heads-Up Championship here, Chen beat Victor Blum, a.k.a. Isildur 1, in round 2 and lost to champion Brian Hastings in the semifinals.
Gil checks. He has almost twice the chips as Chen, who is reaching with his aces. That is 13,200.
One of Gil's hobbies is touch football. I think he's smart not to play tackle football.
Gil does announce a call. He could be smarter about this hand. River card now. Another 10. A check.
You can't win if you check.
Actually, he can. And he might win more if he bets.
And it appears as though Chen will be betting. 22,000 this time.
Actually interesting.
Gil used to work at Subway. That's right. Capital once made $5 footlongs.
Tough decision for Capital here.
When you refer to yourself in the third person, eventually other people want you to be the next person out.
Well, this is actually tough. I will show at the end, just so I'm showing I'm not wasting anybody's time.
He's got top pair.
BTC Blade with 3-barrel. I might have just gotten owned, I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Nice bet. Nice hand.
Chen takes it.
Well played. Go one. Show the camera. Show the camera. Don't show me. I won't even look.
Pick one. Left or right?
Was that?
Right. Left or right?
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
These are his, yes.
Nice hand.
When they say pick one, they usually have a pocket pair, except when they don't.
Chen with a nice little pot there against Capital.
You know what? That is the biggest hit I've taken in the entire tournament. That is the biggest pot I've lost all tournament so far. That's how
I'm
good
gonna do one more.
Please don't make me the nemesis. I'm not sure I can take it.
Wow, suddenly Capital is speechless. A first. Want to know more about your favorite players? Maybe it's Capital. Head over to ESPN.com/poker. Let's get back to the feature table. Michael Mizrachi has the most chips at that table. And this table has been joined by Tony Gregg, winner of the one-drop high roller event, good for nearly $5 million.
Good friend of Greg Merson.
And the fans giving him a nice hand here. Action on Phil Mader, the Nebraska farmer who's been holding his own here. Ace-8 of clubs.
Yeah, the farmer deserves a round of applause for hanging with this tough group and for just being a nice fella.
A raise to 7,000. Grinder, King-Jack.
On day 2, I went by the Grinders table, and all the other players were shaking their heads, wondering how he runs so good. A couple of pros have told me they think Grinder wins coin flips like 65% of the time. But in poker, you know, winners win and everyone else whines.
Grinder taking a close look at Mader, and Grinder re-raises to 15-2. Some folds behind Grinder, and the big blind James Weeks gives it up. Now back to Phil Mader, the original raiser.
The Grinder with 3 bracelets, 2 WPT titles, and you mentioned earlier $14 million in live career tournament earnings.
He's won a bracelet in each of the last 3 years as well. Mater calls for 8,200 more and will go heads up against Grinder.
The Farmer versus the Grinder.
10-10-8. Mater pairs his 8 to inflate his advantage. He checks.
It was just very easy when I got here, and then they just replaced. Just Anthony Gregg gets there. I mean, Mizrachi kind of sucks, though, honestly.
Well, Steinberg with little regard for the bracelet winner to his right. Grinder takes a shot, 15,000.
No piece of the flop, no problem, the Grinder says. But he will rue the day he made that bet.
Grinder's made a lot of those bets he may rue in the future. A check raise from Mater, the 35,000.
There's a problem now, isn't there, Grinder?
Well, I have played with Grinder. I know there's one way he deals with these problems.
Yeah, it looks like Grinder's thinking there's no problem that can't be solved.
Exactly. And that is a re-raise to 55,000.
And that is a perfect example of Mizrachi's style. No pot is over till it's over. He hates to give up.
All eyes now on Phil Mater, the amateur. Mater pops back, making it 85,000.
Mater with the 4-bet there. He says, you want to play chicken? I'll play chicken, but my chicken has an 8.
And that is the best hand right now. And Grinder finally relents.
Yep, Mizrachi has to give it up.
These turns good.
Mater might be the capital of this table.
So Farmer Phil does not let Michael Mizrachi's aggression get the best of him there. Here right now are Antonio Esfandiari and Phil Locke with their thoughts on the hand.
Table presence is a very important factor at a poker table, and Mizrachi doesn't want anyone to run all over him, and he makes that very clear. Being fresh at this table, he wants to let everyone know who's boss.
And Mater's having none of it. Mater's like, you just came to the table, you have twice as many chips as me, but you know what? I'm here, I'm drawing a line in the sand, you want to fight? Step over the line. And he hangs in there, and he fights back, and he raises, and he ends up winning. It's a great hand.
Have to give Mater a lot of credit so far at this World Series of Poker.
I talked to a friend of mine in Omaha, and he says Mater is known as the feistiest farmer in the state. He grows aggro corn and beans.
1,056. Still in the running for this 2013 World Championship. Greg Merson, the 2012 World Champ, playing with about 148,000 chips. His opponent in this hand, Corey Wunstl, all in pre-flop for just over 39K with ace-jack. Merson dominated with only king-jack. All right, here's the flop. And the jack hits both, but Wunstl ahead.
Wunstl from Baton Rouge with 2 World Series cashes. Right now, he's just got that black all-in bun in front of him, but in good shape to double through the champ.
Wunstl still ahead. Merson misses the turn.
And now only a king would send Corey Wunstl home.
It's a 4 on the river. Corey Wunstl will double up through Greg Merson.
No, you don't get to keep the all-in button after you win an all-in. That's World Series property.
So Merson left with just over 100,000 after doubling up Wunstl. Of course, Greg has come back from worse, but can he expect to catch lightning in a bottle again here in 2013? Welcome back to Las Vegas. Over the years, Phil Hellmuth has been anything but subtle with his main event entrances. Whether in Europe or in the United States, Phil has made the start of his main event a spectacle.
Thinking about going to Afghanistan. Troops need to be supported.
But his 2013 entrance saw no such fanfare, just a quiet walk into the Rio, all business.
I hated those entrances, but, well, I guess I kind of missed them too.
Well, it's Phil's potential exit that he needs to be focused on right now as he sits with only 107,000 chips. Every hand could be his last of this main event.
I'm a little pissed off. 8,500.
An anger raise to 8,500 with King 5 for Phil.
Phil's still playing a bit loosey-goosey.
Well, he lives for this time of year, and to have the World Series expand into Europe and Australia just expands his playground. Dennis Reyes in the big blind.
I call.
Calls with pocket jacks.
Reyes, a certified nurse's assistant and caregiver from Bakersfield.
8-7 deuce, a great flop for the jacks. Action on Reyes.
50-year-old grandfather, born in the Philippines in his first main event.
He's going to check it over to Hellmuth.
18.
Phil's going to step into it with a bet of 18,000.
Big pre-flop raise followed by a big continuation bet is an old school style that really doesn't suit Hellmuth anymore, but he's given it a go.
Reyes with the best hand, despite being pocket jacks. Just a call.
Phil doesn't like the sound of the word call here.
Turn card. 9 of clubs. That gives Reyes a straight draw and Hellmuth flush and straight draws.
Mullen.
And Reyes
Oh my God.
with the all-in move. Hellmuth has him covered.
I can't believe the poker brat now is going to rant with his mouth full. Oh, good, he's going to chew first.
With bated breath, everyone awaits his action.
I brought the guy over, had 30,000, moved in every hand. It won't last 10 more minutes, but you beat me, buddy.
Hellmuth folds.
Phil caught with his hand in the sandwich jar that time.
Reyes well below the average tip stack right now, which is about 180,000.
Reyes' favorite player is Daniel Negreanu, but Hellmuth might be making his way up the list if he keeps giving him chips.
My turn now, okay? Now I'm going to raise you with kings and bust you.
I'll have a pocket aces if you raise me to that.
No, you're too reckless. I watch you. No patience. You don't have patience.
You're right.
I know. I know what everybody does at this table.
Phil knows this table, but he and 2012 final tableist Jesse Sylvia were presented with a new challenge in this edition of Side Action.
Sherry.
Thank you so much.
Here we are at the Rio Hotel with a little free time on our hands. Let's return to the beginning.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Right this way, please.
Let's do it.
What are we doing, guys?
Now that's a... How's it going? How you doing? You want our best game or our worst game? Jesse, what are you doing? This is the first hand. You're supposed to try to bluff me. Nice check, brother. Nice check. I have a feeling I'm going to call and lose. Wow. He did have aces. I knew you were bluffing. A little Dom Perignon for the table. We're going to toast a $1 and $3 no-limit poker game.
Thank you, Phil.
All in moment.
All right, I'm steamed.
I'm tilted. I flopped top too.
This guy's got your number, man. Wow, she has 4 of a kind. That's the most of a kind you can make in this game.
We're both losing money, and you guys are a little bit too tough for us. It was our pleasure to hang out with you guys. Good luck to everybody. We're out of here.
Take care, guys.
Those guys were kind of tough, weren't they?
I know, man.
We both lost. It was fun, though.
Jesse Sylvia may have lost that 1-3 game, but even worse, he got fist bumped twice by the brat, plus Phil put his arm around him.
I don't feel so bad about losing in that game now. Phil says the 8 of hearts is enough to raise to 7,000. That's the only one he looked at.
Well, Phil on a mission to go back to that 1-3 game.
Give me one.
Reyes with pocket 9s now.
Wow.
Just makes the call.
You are just too tough, buddy.
And he wants another piece of Phil, who's got 8-6. There's the flop. Trey, deuce, Trey. Reyes still good.
Good looking flop for pocket 9s.
And it's worth 6,000.
On any normal day, this is an automatic fold for Phil.
Phil Hellmuth is apparently sticking around at least. Now that's a raise, Norman, to 14,000.
What is Phil doing? It's like he's still in the 1-3 mode, but you can't rebuy here, Phil.
Or somebody said, yes, you can, next year.
Yeah, 8,000 on top of that.
Reyes is a caregiver. Hellmuth might be his next patient.
Just a call from Reyes with the best hand. Turn card now. King of hearts, Hellmuth now drawing dead. A check from Reyes this time.
It feels like the bizarro world, Lon. Usually others are trying to bluff Hellmuth off hands. Here, he's the imposter.
And Phil is putting some bluffing chips together. A small bet, 13,500.
The '89 world champ determined to run the amateur over. Hellmuth drawing dead and betting.
I don't think he hits it.
And Reyes giving pause for thought here.
Okay, Phil, you can come out now.
And folds.
Oh, it worked.
Wow. Reyes falls for it.
Did not flop a big hand.
You didn't start with a big hand. You didn't flop a big hand. You didn't turn a big hand. You had no hand.
But he's the one stacking the chips.
You got to give me a small one once in a while, man. I mean.
Sure, why not? It's a homing chips, Phil.
No, I don't want homing chips. Unless they're tuned to this
it's
homing
chips.
bacon.
It comes back here.
Phil Hellmuth back over 100,000 chips, but he cannot rest easy. His stack is still way below average. Back at the featured table with 24-year-old Max Steinberg, who made a recent trip down to New Orleans very memorable. Steinberg nearly won his second bracelet at the 2013 National Championship. He made a now infamous call with Jack high against a full house.
I call.
He makes the call.
He called?
He's so mad he called me with Jack high. Can you believe that? I've been cranking for 30 years. I never called a guy with Jack high.
He did recover nicely for an impressive second-place finish. And a fine tournament for Max Steinberg, coming up just short of his second bracelet.
Max says there was a lot of deep logic behind his jack high call. Deep logic, of course, is beyond my intellectual station.
All right, we'll keep it here at the feature table. Pocket jacks under the gun for Phil Ivey, an 09 November Niner and a raise to 6,000.
Pocket jacks is something I understand. As we both know, Lon, you can't win with them.
That's true. Mater, King Jack suited into the muck. Mizrachi, a November Niner from 2010, calls with Ace Trey suited.
Grinder thinking 2 cards, 6,000. That's only 3,000 a card. I call.
Ola, maybe a November Niner to be. 7-5 of hearts, and he comes along. Steinberg with 8-6 of hearts.
And boy, Steinberg looks like he's up to no good.
Got a twin brother, Danny, made a final table, the World Series of Poker Europe main event in 2010. Looks like he sees an opportunity here. And there's a re-raise to 28,000 from Steinberg.
That's Steinberg's style. Make opponents make decisions for big chunks of chips.
We saw it in New Orleans. We're seeing it here in Vegas in the small blind. Igor Rabinovich, software consultant from Pennsylvania with Ace King.
Wow, 4 people already in the pot, and the 43-year-old amateur looks down at a big hand.
Hold on.
And he says all in, 155,000. And no worry that there's so many bracelet winners involved in this hand either, Norman.
If Ivy only knew.
Ivy folds. Mizrachi folds. Ola folds. Steinberg?
He raised him with 8-6.
60.
And wants a count.
Well, sometimes you make a squeeze play, as Max did, and you get squeezed out. I don't think Max can play here.
That's all right.
You are right. Max does fold. Ivy gave him a lot of credit folding the jacks.
Well, Rabinovich with the right play, and he owes that pot to Steinberg. If Max doesn't make the big 3-bet, Ivy's going to call an all-in, and Rabinovich would be racing for his main event life.
Well, Ivy looks like he really wanted to play that hand against Rabinovich, but Max Steinberg complicated things a little bit, and Rabinovich takes the pot pre-flop. Fewer than 1,000 players now in the main event. Got 191,000. Sorry, you're just average. Let's get back to the secondary featured table. Phil Hellmuth there. He's in the big blind with ace-9. And he's putting out chips to call Rupert Elder's under the gun raise with 2 queens.
And the Poker Brat Squadouche tour continues.
Flop 5, deuce, 10. Nothing there for Phil Hellmuth.
Elder, 26-year-old Scottish pro. His girlfriend, Melanie Weisner, still alive in this main event.
Phil checked. Elder bet 7,500.
I'm thinking when I come back in the next life, I want to be Phil Hellmuth's fashion coordinator. Talk about a no-show job.
Hellmuth has been quite active with questionable cards at this table recently.
16.
He wants to check raise to 16,000.
There we go. This is actually the Poker Brat raise with Squadouche tour. And Elder now charged with figuring out if Hellmuth has a big hand or if Hellmuth has lost his ever-loving mind.
Rupert, a very solid poker pro. And, wow, does he want to re-pop Phil Hellmuth here? He does. He now makes it 28,000.
I think Rupert Elder has a little white magic.
Wow.
Here comes the obligatory rant and fold from the brat.
Just came to just try to play every pot fast against me, huh?
These Scottish kids.
I mean, I'm not even bluffing, but...
Phil folds.
You can show the king, queen, or whatever. You were dead with that hand, but go ahead, show it. I expect you to go off to me.
Rupert with a healthy stack at this stage.
I'd be very curious to see what that hand was.
This hasn't been Phil Hellmuth's finest hour.
Phil giving voice to his shrinking stack frustrations.
Nice hand, buddy. When's it my turn against you? You just won every hand against me, right? I always have at least ace high every.
He may still be talking when we come back to it. Let's catch up with 2012 champ Greg Merson. All his chips in the middle with ace-8 of clubs. He's up against the pocket tens of Canadian pro Samuel Sahai.
Maryland, my Maryland on the ropes.
Not much help there for Merson. Sigh of relief from Sahai.
Merson gonna pack up. You know, maybe if he wasn't grazing the World Wide Web on his tablet, he wouldn't be in this all-in position.
Turn card is an ace, and Merson finds new life in the turn, but does he know it?
Well, Samuel knows it. Merson, though, I think he's halfway back to Baltimore already.
River card is a king and an underwhelming double up for the defending champ. Greg, you won.
Yeah, he might not find out he won until he checks in at the airport.
Sahai gives up a big chunk of his chip stack. Merson now up to almost 240,000. The defending champ was all ready to make a day 3 exit, but that ace on the turn gives him an above average stack and renewed main event life.
Well, it's been a successful summer partly because I am just a great player, and a lot because I'm just fortunate and the things go well for me. And I've just had a lucky run, but I think that I play very well, and I really like the way in which I play, how it differs from other people, and I'm proud that I've sort of come up with a new style and it's showing results. It makes me really happy.
2011 was so bad poker-wise, Max briefly thought about doing something else, but 2012 was rock solid, and he's been rolling in 2013.
Under the gun +1, king 10 of clubs for Steinberg.
Max looks like he's holding on to a ride at an amusement park before he acts.
Typical of his style, regards his surroundings, makes his optimal play, and then the larger than most pre-flop raise to 9,000.
The big blind right now, 2,400.
And that induces a lot of folds, and I think that's exactly what it's intended to do. Folded to Ivy, Jack 10 into the muck. Hudson on the button gives it up to Phil Mater in the small. He folds to the big blind Michael Mizrachi. I think it'd be easier to pass a nationwide online poker bill than get Grinder to fold his big blind.
Well, sometimes defending your blind is like standing on the front lawn with a rake yelling at kids. Nothing good can come of it.
Heads up. Double gutter for Grinder. Top pair and flush draw for Steinberg.
Check. Did he say check?
No, he didn't say check. He said he's meeting the Dalai Lama for lunch next Tuesday at Applebee's.
That's a check. Steinberg with the best hand, 13,000.
Well, the Grinder's not going anywhere. He might even raise.
Big draw for Mike. Just a call. Turn card now. 5 of clubs. Steinberg turns the flush. Grinder with an 8 high straight and a straight flush draw. And Grinder bets 25,000. Wow.
He will rue the day he made that bet, Lon.
What a card that was.
And I gotta believe Max Steinberg is loving his spot right here.
King high flush. And that's more than 25,000. Such a good card for Grinder normally, but he's just a 2%er to win it. That's a raise to 70,000.
Well, it all started defending your big blind with 7-6 off. Sometimes it's better just to move on. I know I did after my first wife left me a third time.
Mizrachi with the call for 45,000 more.
Your Grinder makes the call, and he's got a headache coming.
He needs the perfect card on the river to make the best hand.
He needs the 7 of clubs to make a straight flush.
The river card is the 6 of diamonds. Grinder checks again.
Steinberg is holding on again, but this is a scary ride for Mizrachi, not him.
Well, Michael thinks he's going to get off that easily. He's got another thing coming. Several thousand things coming, perhaps. 120,000 things coming. And what a spot Grinder's in here.
I don't know if I should raise you or not, but I can't now.
A raise here is not good thinking.
You might have queen jack of clubs only.
Now you're thinking.
No reaction from Max.
A call here would be for 1/3 of Grinder's remaining stack.
Here's your action.
Grinder does call.
What?
And Max shows him the winner.
Max shows the king of clubs, 10 of clubs.
Grinder shows his 6, but Steinberg will stack the winnings.
And Steinberg now with by far the biggest stack at this stack table.
Over 612,000 as Michael Mizrachi cools off and must surrender almost half of his chip stack.
Nice one.
Thank you. Well, Max Steinberg called himself a great player, and he played like one right there. Steinberg certainly a force to be reckoned with here on day 3 of the main event. Tonight's bracelet moments are presented by PokerNews.com. It felt like 2007 all over again as that year's World Series Player of the Year, Tom Schneider, rose to success once again in 2013. Schneider captured 2 more bracelets this summer, both in horse events, the $1,500 buy-in tournament, where he bested Owais Ahmed heads up, and the 5K buy-in event, which earned Schneider nearly $320,000.
I'm very happy and very tired. Very tired. I've been playing poker, 13 hours a day and not getting much sleep, but I feel great.
Winning 2 bracelets in a single year is an impressive accomplishment, but not as rare as you might think. The last time it did not happen was 1999.
14 straight years with a multiple bracelet winner. Larger fields now, but more chances to win. There are twice as many bracelet events as 10 years ago.
Phil Ivey, who won 3 bracelets in 2002, under the gun, ace, king of clubs.
Ivey, Puggy Pearson, Ted Forrest, Phil Hellmuth, and Jeff Lissandro, the only players to win 3 bracelets in 1 year.
A raise to 6,000 folded to farmer Phil Mader with pocket 8s.
Mader's been married 31 years, which I think is tougher than winning 3 bracelets in 1 year.
6,000 is the call from Mader. Folded around to Ola. Yeah, Mizrachi gave it up. King 6 of diamonds, and that's a call. Steinberg now 9-7 of hearts.
Ola falling victim to the amateur suited king curse. Very common affliction.
Steinberg hangs on to that roller coaster and then calls.
Of course, there's that old line about the 3 rings of marriage: engagement ring, wedding ring, suffering.
All right, folded to Tony Gregg, and he gives up the big blind. So 4 players. Mader right now with the only made hand, the pocket 8s. All right, here's the 4-way flop. Jack 7 king 2 hearts. Ivey top pair, top kicker. Steinberg favored though with the flush draw and the pair of 7s. Ivey bets 15,000. Now Mader with a pocket pair. Now they're in the muck. Ola with top pair, but a bad kicker.
Well, the farmer made a good fold. I'm hoping the engineer can make a good fold too.
And you wonder what card was he hoping to hit. He does call. Steinberg favored. He calls.
So it'll be heads up plus Ola.
Turn card ace of spades. Keeps getting better for the best hand. Top 2 for Ivey.
Well, you can't tell, but Ivey is in a gleeful mood over the whole pre-flop flop and turn situation.
That's 40,000.
Ola hoping the engineer can make the good fold now.
Drawing dead. What can I beat? What can I beat? The answer is nothing. And he does finally fold. Steinberg now.
Max getting almost 3-1 on a call here, and he's about a 3-1 underdog. And don't get me started on the implied odds.
That's a call. Heads up in reality to the river. Safe card for Phil, the 5 of spades.
Yeah, very safe. Phil just knows he's best.
He checks.
Hoping he can get Steinberg to bluff at it.
Steinberg checks.
Yeah, good time for Max not to fool around.
So Phil Ivey will take that pot here at the featured table.
Good lay down.
The Humphreys with plenty of chances to wave their sign today.
Phil and I right now are thinking the exact same thing, but I can't share those thoughts with you.
As day 3 wears on, it seems clear Phil Ivey has brought his A game. The 9-time bracelet winner nearing 400,000 chips. The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by the official WSOP's social game. Download now on Facebook or your smartphone. Win the main event, and Maine lobsters are yours for every meal from that day forward. Currently, the biggest stack in the Amazon room belongs to Dick Van Lyke with nearly 1 million chips. Fewer than 900 world champs in waiting remain in this poker spectacle. At the secondary table, Vic Sinelli from Canonsburg, Pennsylvania.
He's got an engineering degree from Carnegie Mellon, but has been playing poker for a living since 2007.
And he thinks pocket jacks right there are worth 5,200. Fold it to Phil Hellmuth on the button with pocket tens.
Phil finally gets a hand, and he's in awful shape.
He calls. Rupert Elder in the small blind folds. Big blind gets rid of it, so heads up Sinelli and Hellmuth, and Sinelli has Phil dominated. Here's the flop, 6-6 deuce, a seemingly good flop for each, but Hellmuth in trouble.
Sinelli, a 39-year-old in his second main event.
Failed to cash in his first time around in 08, bets 10,200.
This is a pretty good flop for pocket tens, and if Phil thinks he's best right here, he might push. Doesn't look like he's going to push.
He does look like he's putting a raise together.
Raise 10 too.
And that's a min raise to 20,400.
A min raise in that spot. Another Hellmuth-esque move.
How much more you got, Phil?
Asking the Brat how much more he has. A poker player's dream.
30, 35. All right. I'm all in.
All in, all right, I guess I call.
Phil calls reluctantly all in. The
Jacks.
clock ticking on his demise if he doesn't get lucky.
It's been a bad World Series for Phil Hellmuth, about to get worse.
Good hand.
He had 15 big blinds left when he called all in with the pocket tens.
Sinelli trying to knock out the 13-time bracelet winner.
Nice hand.
All right, the turn card. Hellmuth at risk, and he got a little life with a flush draw.
Well, like Greg Merson, he's packing up. But Hellmuth can survive here with a 10 or any spade other than the jack.
The river card now. Is it Phil's last of this main event? It's black, but a club, and the 89 world champ is out.
Game. Good game. All right, Phil. Game.
A somber Phil Hellmuth graciously says his goodbyes.
Sinelli does the deed.
Good game.
Phil's 100th World Series cash will not come in Las Vegas, but he's always got Paris and the World Series Europe. Sinelli takes the last of Hellmuth's stack, but he and others have no time to relax. This is the main event. Right now, Kara Scott is with Phil.
We've lost Phil Hellmuth from this year's main event, but with nearly 100 World Series of Poker cashes total, you've done this so many times. Talk to me about the experience of this summer.
This summer feels like a horrible summer to me. Very frustrating. I'm very dejected. You know, when you get eliminated from the main event, it's like the worst day, you know, of the year. And so I'm just on the heels of that. So, you know, I look back at the World Series of Poker Europe. They had 5 tournaments. I had 4 cashes. And I played 40 here. And I had like a 5th place finish, which a lot of people think is good, but my standards are a little high.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. Unfortunately, eliminated from the main event, 13-time bracelet winner, Phil Hellmuth.
A bad summer, but career numbers unmatched in World Series history. Most cashes, 99. Most final tables, 48. Most bracelets, 13.
As we move around the Amazon room, we get a look at Rupert Elder's girlfriend, Melanie Weisner, up over 400 grand.
The heads-up online specialist in good shape to get her first ever main event cash.
The current chip leader, Holland native Dick Van Lyke, going for his first World Series cash and more.
His favorite player is Marcel Lusk. I've got to root for him on that alone.
Meanwhile, post-bust-out Phil Hellmuth, gracious enough to take photos with his fans. Not easy to do after getting knocked out from the main event.
And to his credit, the poker brat is always great with the fans. well, as long as none of them has ever put a bad beat on it.
He does sound boastful, but Phil usually backs up his boast. It was an under-par World Series for him in Las Vegas. Here's a look at the current top 10 stacks. No more grinder up there.
861 players remain. Only 648 of them will cash. We are getting close to the money at the 44th World Series of Poker main event.
It's called the longest walk of the year, leaving the Rio after busting the main event. But if it helps, you always have lots of company. Sometimes being a table captain doesn't work out as planned.
You want to try to bluff the best players in the world, huh?
Pew, pew, pew.
I know what everybody does at this table. You don't have patience. My turn now, okay? Now I'm going to raise you with kings and bust you.
Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew.
As day 3 winds down, preservation is just as important as accumulation.
Good laydowns.
Ivy, Ivy, Ivy!
Pew, pew, pew.
Phil Hellmuth may be gone.
Good hand.
But plenty of star power still remains. For Norman, Chad, and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. More main event coming up.
Pew, pew, pew.